Here we go. 2-point try for the lead. James, the motion man. Shovel. Barkley breaks a tackle. Dives in for two. Wow. Giants take the lead. 21-20 with 1:06 to play in the fourth.
Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. Today's episode is going to be about the draft for the New York Giants, positions of need, a lot of positions of need, and positional value as well. For those that know me, understand that I want a center. I want a center bad, and I push for a center at 25. But a lot of people don't understand why. And trust me, I understand positional value. And when I think about it, I think about the season last year. I think about what the Giants need to succeed. Now, a lot of people, and including myself, I think that the center position is very, very high. Very, very high on the list of priorities. Some people don't agree. I understand that too. I'm not going to knock somebody else for their opinion. But I do like to understand what people are thinking when they say to the idea of picking a center at 25, it's just a reach or it's not good. Now, for me also, I think there's a certain amount of players or certain players that if available at 25, you absolutely take them. And I would, in fact, take a few guys over the center position. But before I get into that, I just want to talk about some of these positions that everybody else wants. Now, number one on a lot of people's list is the wide receiver. And wide receiver is high on my list too. And if a certain person is available at 25, I'm probably taking him too, and that's going to be Jordan Addison. I like Jordan Addison a lot because out of all of these first round projected wide receivers, I think that Jordan Addison has that ability to be, in time, a wide receiver one. A wide receiver one. And who knows, if he's drafted by the Giants, he could be the wide receiver one day one. Don't really think so, but, it could happen. But out of the guys like, Quentin Johnston, JSN, who is a phenomenal prospect as well. I just believe that Jordan Addison has that extra it factor. And that's me watching him at Pittsburgh with Pickett. A lot of people criticize his play in USC because the production went down. But my argument for Jordan Addison in that is that, he didn't have to be the man at USC like he was at Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, it was just him. Not saying it was just him, but you know what I mean when I say it's just him. He had to be the man. He went to USC, quarterback that can move, quarterback that, in a lot of people's opinion, is a better prospect than Kenny Pickett himself. And Caleb Williams, he was the show. He was absolutely the show. And the times that USC did needed a play and they did go to Jordan Addison, he was making those plays. So I will say that, but it's almost night and day, the production from him being at USC and him being at, Pitt. So, but Jordan Addison, if he's there at 25, I'm absolutely taking him. That's one of the guys that I would take over the center position. Now, I will say this, again, John Michael Schmitz, if we select him with other people on the board, I'm not mad at all because, again, I believe fixing this offensive line helps the entire offense, not just the quarterback, not just the running back. It helps everybody if you solidify this offensive line. Now, another position of need that a lot of people want to go with, including myself, is the cornerback position. Outside of Adoree Jackson, we do have some young talent on the team, but not quite there yet. People are fans of Cordell Flott. I'm a fan of Cordell Flott. I see the upside to Cordell Flott, but I don't know exactly if Cordell Flott or when Cordell Flott is going to take that next step. I think he made one of the best plays in our playoff victory against the Vikings, that pass deflection. And, a lot of people don't talk about that. But Cordell Flott, came along towards the end of the season. And what kind of derailed him was that injury. He had the groin injury, sat out a few games. And I think that, also he's a young guy. He's just 21 when we drafted him. He was 20. I believe he'll be 22 at the beginning of this season, but very, very young. And you could tell in his frame that he has not actually had his, his man body yet, if they call it that, or, how they called it. He has about, 5 to 10 pounds that he can actually put on. And I think that would help him a lot, especially at this level. He is a little bit light. But the cornerback position is another position of need. And just like the wide receiver position, there are about 4 to 5 corners that, if they are available at 25, that I will also pick over the center. So I'm not just blindly saying, the center. I want the offensive line fixed. But, if certain people are there, you absolutely get them. Like if Deonte Banks falls, if somehow Joey Porter falls, Cam Smith is raising up a lot of draft boards now, and he could be the third cornerback taken after Gonzalez and after Witherspoon, or Witherspoon and Gonzalez. I wouldn't be surprised if Cam Smith went before Joey Porter or Deonte Banks. Not at all. Another dark horse that a lot of people like and talk about is Emmanuel Forbes. And there's no knock on Emmanuel Forbes except for his size. The man is 166 pounds. At the pro day, he was 170 pounds. So he gained 4 pounds from the combine to the pro day. And who knows, maybe he gained another 4 pounds by the draft. I don't know. But the whole point is the man's talent is unquestionable. Pick sixes, you know what I mean? Ball skills, coverage skills. To be as light as he is, still a physical type of corner, willing to throw his body in there. Not the best tackler, but willing to throw his body in there. And at 166 pounds, I love the toughness, I love the willingness, but you have to bulk up to protect yourself, especially since you're so willing to throw your body in there to make some tackles. So Emmanuel Forbes makes the list 6. You could see 6 cornerbacks go in that first round. And I wouldn't be surprised at that either. And who knows what can happen? It's the NFL draft. GMs are human. GMs are absolutely human. They make mistakes. We saw it. We have a history of GMs making mistakes. And hopefully Joe Shane can limit his mistakes, especially when it comes to the draft. I like what he did this offseason with the money that he had. He re-signed Daniel Jones. He was able to get Saquon tagged. He brought in some talent to the wide receiver room. A lot of slot guys. And that's one of the reasons why, for me, I don't think wide receiver is as big of a need in round 1. I definitely think we probably draft more than one wide receiver in this draft because it's just so deep. You got about 20 wide receivers. You got about 20 wide receivers that are all good quality wide receivers. Wide receiver 3s, 4s, full of those. Wide receiver 2s and some potential wide receiver 1s in the first round. And then there's always a dark horse where it's a guy that's picked late, and in 2 years he becomes a phenomenal player. And you always wonder, how this guy was there in round 4 and nobody else saw it. But but outside of the cornerbacks, the wide receivers, the centers, there are some other positions of need. And we did a people's mock draft with the guys at New York Revival. Shout out to those guys, Hefe, Spiro, Eli, great guys, great content creators. They had, other content creators, people from Giants Twitter join in their live, in their stream, and they went ahead and did a 10 team mock draft. And it was fantastic. I had a lot of fun. A lot of people there. Big Blue Nick Filato from Big Blue Banter was there. Talking Giants. Bobby Skinner was there. Entertainer was there. A lot of guys were there. Shout out to my man Sal Mace, NYG Mason. My man Monty from Big Blue Beards. A lot of good content creators were in the building. And I hate it. Let me just go down the list because I don't want to forget anybody. My man Mello. If you know Mello from the Giant Spaces, great dude as well. And also Tommy Takes. My man Tommy Takes was there. and he kicked it off, in the first round, and he selected, C.J. Stroud for the Carolina Panthers. So a lot of fun last night. And yeah, man, it just got me thinking about certain positions that the New York Giants also need help with. And one that's not glaring is defensive line. Now, we did pick up Nacho from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he's a backup to what, Dexter Lawrence is. He's a backup type of guy. I wouldn't be surprised if we tried to find a future replacement at 25 for Leonard Williams. And that was also brought to attention. Actually, a guy that was brought up was Brian Breesy, who, had some issues off the field, health issues, family issues, things like that. But, if he's there at 25, that's a good get. And he's the type of guy that, you can move on from Leonard Williams eventually because you have a guy like Brian Breesy. Another guy is Kalijah Cansey from Pittsburgh. Bobby Skinner is a big fan of Kalijah Cansey. He was talking about speaking it into existence yesterday during the mock draft. And Kalijah Cansey is the type of player, you can call it the Napoleon complex for the position that he plays. He's not the traditional size defensive tackle. 6'1", 280 pounds. Kind of reminds you of that same stature of an Aaron Donald. Not saying that he is Aaron Donald, but when you look at the tape, and yes, he played for Pittsburgh like Aaron Donald, but strong, fast, plays with leverage, plays with ferocity, and gets the job done. No matter what his size is, he gets the job done. And like I said, you can call it a Napoleon complex. He's not a small guy, but in comparison to the position that he plays and other players, yes, he's small in comparison, but he plays with a lot of heart, and you can't coach that. So Kalijah Cansey is another guy that I look at like, yeah, that's a possibility at 25. And again, these are needs that are not as obvious, but absolutely needs. And again, the New York Giants have a lot of holes to fill. Another safety is another one. Possibly if Brian Branch is there at 25, do you want to take a guy like that? A lot of people compare him to McKinney. They're kind of like the same player. But here's the thing. We drafted Dane Belton. But here's the thing when it comes to Brian Branch. He's so similar to Xavier McKinney. But Xavier McKinney is probably going to be up for is going to be up for a big contract. And if you can't get a deal done, who better to have than a Brian Branch there? A guy that's a clone, somewhat a clone. I don't want to disrespect anybody. He's his own player, but it's a similar skill set to Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney is probably a better outfielder than Brian Branch. Brian Branch can play in the box, but also has the ability to get deep. Pause. But again, that's another position that wouldn't be a surprise to me. And then also edge. And everybody's like, yeah, Azeez Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeau. Azeez scared me last year. His inability to stay healthy throughout the season scares me. And I know it's only 1 year, and he'll have another year to go back out there and prove himself. And then in the games that he did play, he was highly effective. He was very effective in those games. But your best ability is your availability, and it just wasn't good enough last year. So that scares me a little bit. So if a guy like Nolan Smith falls and he's available at 25, do you go there and get him? That's something else that you take a look at. One of these other edge rushers, somebody's going to fall. Somebody's absolutely going to fall. Two people might fall. It happens every year. And all this depends on that value at 25 and the need that the New York Giants have. And like I said, there's holes all over the place. So I'm not really surprised with anything. But I always say that to say this. The New York Giants absolutely need to fix that offensive line. And for me, I'm not going to move off of it. I'll just say that I understand if you don't go center, because I want my pick of the litter, and I think that at 25 you get your pick of the litter of all the centers. I'm very, very high on John Michael Schmitz. I'm warming up to Joe Tippmann. I like Luke Wypler too. Whippler. I still can't pronounce his name right. I got to hear him say it, Whippler or Wypler. He has that wrestling background. He's a Jersey native, Jersey stand-up. I like that he plays with good leverage. I like that he's feisty. I like that he has, pretty good hands. A lot of those wrestlers do have good hands, good fight in their hands. And I like that. But I want my pick of the litter, and I think the pick of the litter is John Michael Schmitz. But I just wanted to make a quick video about all the different needs, and that when you look at other people, mocking certain positions to the New York Giants at 25, you can't be mad at it. You can't be mad at it at all. I'm not mad at it at all, because I can see why. I can see the arguments for a lot of different positions. And again, when you're picking in that first round, it's about the value in that first round. I do understand that. I do understand that. And here's the thing: if you can promise me, and I know you can't, that Whippler or Tippmann is going to be there at 57, then I would probably push more for some of the later cornerbacks, as far as out of that top 5 to 6 cornerbacks. If we get the 5th or the 6th cornerback, I wouldn't be mad if you can guarantee me the center at 57, one of those 3. But again, that's just my opinion. Everybody has their own opinions, and I just can't wait for this draft to get here, man. It's an exciting time to be a New York Giants fan, coming off of a good year. That gives a lot of people a lot of hope going into next season. But at the end of the day, it's all about proving and reproducing what we did last year, and at a higher level and with better talent on the team. And if everything can come together, the New York Giants can be good, for years to come. So I want to thank you guys for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. This was just a short vibe video about the draft, the needs of the New York Giants, and the different opinions that are out there. And then nobody's wrong in their opinion. But again, shout out to all the Giants content creators, YouTube, Twitter, social media. You guys get my respect. And yeah, man, go Giants.